Everybody, hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. Got a great video for you. I got my buddy Pauli back. We're back in the saddle with the Real Deal with Me podcast. Larry Lawton. Thank you, our sponsor, Oliva. They're great. The cigars are great. Pauli's going to talk about that here in a minute. We're going to go over some clips we saw as older cats, number one, and we saw some stuff during the debates and stuff we read about a little bit more than the younger people today. So we're gonna go into that. That's gonna be a lot of fun, Paul. So
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be, we're gonna do that. We're gonna have a little fun with the internet. We're gonna have a little fun with the law. Any updates on the cases in either Fort Lauderdale or Georgia?
With Young Thug,
Yeah, you have the Young
the
Thug case, and you also
the
have the
Young Thug case in Georgia is on hold because the judge stepped aside, but now the prosecutor is, trying to justify their actions, and they're trying to prevent a mistrial.
so that judge eventually did step aside.
Well, of course he had to.
Wow. So what happens now? I mean, they're appointing a
Well,
judge.
now they should declare a mistrial, and if it was a legitimate court, right, they would declare a mistrial, and they would appoint it into another judge, and that judge would have to start all over from the beginning. How's the judge going to come into a case that's gone on for over 90 days
Yeah, and not know anything going on, right?
and not
Exactly.
know what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
how many days would he take to, or she take to, familiarize themselves with the record? They're not reading 90 days of trial transcripts, bro. That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, Paulie, obviously, it's not even about reading them. You can't understand the body language. You can't
Well, you
understand
have a
what
lot of
they're.
things that you can't do. That's why they need to declare it a mistrial. But the prosecution is so fucked up. Excuse me. So they're so politically incorrect that they're going to try to push this trial forward. They're filing briefs now to keep it going, except with another judge, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Or to get
Paulie,
that judge
first of
back
all,
on the case.
Paulie, if they did that, if they actually did what you just said, it would make no sense at all. I mean, there's so many reverse errors there. Uh, how can even a judge himself go back on any of the reversible stuff and make a good judgment when he didn't even hear the first? Because there's already appealable issues.
Well, there's a lot of issues that are there. That's why they need to declare a mistrial, because it's not going to be, they're trying, the prosecutor wants the judge not to get off the case, to stay on it. But he got off the case. He's not, this ain't a ping pong match. They can't, you're off one day, you're on the next. You don't play that shit in the courtroom.
Yeah, no question. There's no question that this guy should be. It should be a mistrial. And see, here's my problem lately. What's going on with the mistrials? And I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I'm not liking the fact that they get these mistrials and they're still keeping these kids in jail. I think a bond and a bail is one of the. That's listen. That's under the Sixth
Well,
Amendment.
yeah, that I agree with that. They shouldn't be in prison if they already got a mistrial, but they're not going to do that. If they did anything, it's because there were murders involved in this case. So,
But Paulie, if the feds couldn't have proved it pretty easily, even murderers, there's only two reasons for no bail, and that's a threat to the community and a flight risk. Obviously, nobody in the last 4 years or 2 years is getting killed or whatever, or you can't attribute it to them. Uh, doesn't seem like they're a flight risk because they already won. They want to clear their name. Uh, I think it's bullshit.
well, it is, but it's like the BOP, Larry. Once they start screaming security reasons, you know, and they can be the biggest, line of shit that they got,
Yeah,
and the courts buy it. Oh, it's security. Okay, the BOP has the right to do that, but that is all done away with now. They did away with the ADA, the American. What was
you
it? The
you you mean
American.
you mean the organization that used to go into the prisons?
No. They did away with the what do you call it? The
Not this.
administrative remedy. You know how they come up with policies
Oh, you're
and
talking
they
about
say, okay,
the
like,
BP8.
yeah, the ADA. So what they did was they come up with the Supreme Court. They had what was called the Chevron indifference, right? And that was a Supreme Court case from like 42 years ago. And that's when they started turning over all of this responsibility without checking with the courts to the in each individual organization. The DEA, they cannot schedule drugs.
Mm.
There's a lot of stuff that's coming undone because of the ruling that they just had. It was actually a very good ruling. You
Well,
know
you're
how
talking
they
about the ruling there where they also made pot a Schedule C, right, or some shit.
and not in that ruling. This is a Supreme Court case that just came down. It had nothing to do with any kind of drug laws or anything like that as in the beginning. But the ramifications opened the door because now all the administrative process that's done to enact a policy, they said that 90% of the policies are unconstitutional, and they did away with it. So now guys that couldn't get of interest to me, guys that couldn't get the year off for the drug program because they had a weapon, right? Well, now that policy's dead. That policy's no longer any good. So people can file and try get into the program and then get the file for the year off.
Yeah, see, I couldn't go on that program because I was a violent offender as well.
Well, there was a lot of violent offenders in there who was the ones that had weapons. Those are the ones that couldn't take the thing, and that, I mean, they denied me mine because of my history. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I said
Well,
I
they
ain't had.
denied me mine, even though I used the BB gun.
Yeah, well, that there, was bullshit because they just didn't want you in the drug program.
They didn't want me to get out early.
They didn't want you in the program and you to get the benefits
That's
because look what you get. You get up to 18 months halfway house in home confinement, and you get a year off your case.
is that
So
what it is now?
you
It's
go into the
extended.
street two and
It
a
used
half
to be
years
six
early.
months, Paulie. It used to be 6 month halfway out,
Yeah.
and it used to be a year off. Now it's a year off and 18 months.
18 months. You get the year off, then you get up to 18 months home confinement and halfway house. They can give you a maximum halfway house and then 6 months in your house, right? At house arrest. So that's 18 months.
So
And the halfway houses, they kick you out as soon as you got a job. You get a paycheck and go back
once
to
you
the
have an
halfway
address
house.
and a charge, you pay them $50 a month for that monitor and get out.
Well,
They want to rent that bed again.
they rent it. They rent it up to 6 times per bed, which I think is a scam. You know what I mean?
Oh, they're getting $60 a night for these guys, Paulie. So
Hey, that's a lot of money. So if you 6 is at 36, right? So that's $360 a night that they're getting
for that one bed,
on one bed.
right? And they got 80 beds in that facility.
It's sometimes more.
Or whatever it is, it's a big number. We know that.
Oh
I
yeah.
watched it happen when they moved me from my halfway house. Then I become the first one kicked out of my new halfway house. And that was a whole fucking fiasco, obviously. By telling that some punk 28-year-old director of the halfway house, he's 28, Paul, and he's talking to me like I'm a freaking kid. When I said to him, listen to me, I'm going to kill you, guy. And he ran away. He ran away and locked himself in the office, and he called the marshals.
But look what I got. I had them because I was at I had to see the psychologist, right? So I'm waiting for the bus to come back from the meeting with the psychologist, and I need soap powder and soap, right, to wash my clothes and my body. So I went in and bought some stuff, right? And I go back to the halfway house, and they asked me, Paul, Mr. Tellini, did you have a pass to go shopping? I said, no. They said, well, what do you have in that bag? And I showed them, I said, I bought some soap powder and soap and some cosmetics to wash my body. And the lady said, I'm writing you up. Right. And that lasted about not even getting out of her mouth. I'm writing you up. I said, listen, you stupid fuck. And I went off on it. I said a lot of things I shouldn't have said to a woman. Right. But I just let it all out. And I told them, send me back. I called Carlos, told Carlos to come to the halfway house and pick up my property.
Paulie, I was
said,
there. I helped you in that halfway house.
Yeah, remember? Exactly. And I went through all that crazy shit, right? Because she wanted to write me up and send me back because I had went and bought some soap powder and stuff, right? And I just lost it. I went on. I said, I didn't ask to come here. First of all, understand that I was all set where I was, and I wasn't worrying about nothing. I was coming home next year, and look at what happened. Yeah. So you can send me back. I don't care. You know what I mean? What the fuck you think I'm gonna care about a few more months? You know, after I did 28 years, are you shitting me?
Listen, they did that to Paulie. Of course, what they did to me, obviously, is throw me back. I ended up going to like Old Home Week. I ended up in Coleman Medium with Victorino and the guys. And then when I went out there, then I had nothing but an asshole probation officer. Which, you know, I had to deal with that. He used to come to the gym. He used to put a cup in front of my face. Let's go, like right in front of everybody. You know what I mean? He didn't have to do that shit.
Oh yeah, they're morons. They don't have any discretion. You know what I mean?
They're trying to keep their jobs. You know what I mean? They want me to violate, you know?
I don't understand what they do, because that's the reason why I filed the motion in my case to do my stuff out of the country. Was for the same type of bullshit. When they came up to visit me in the office when we were doing the legal programming, they came with two monsters, right? That had them, what do they call them? MP-111s or something, the little machine guns.
Oh,
right?
Shit, AK-47 or something.
They had them, and then the girl had a gun that was bigger than her, and a mouth that was bigger than both the gun and her. Right? She just talked shit to Carlos, and I was like, I ain't having that. I switched from programs, and I made my motion, and I sent it right into the court. 7 to 8 days later, they granted it. I was like, okay.
That is funny, you know.
The day I got off of the house arrest and started the supervision, I was on a plane, and the TSA escorted me out of the country. Yeah.
I remember when you got off that plane, and we had a Cohiba cigar in the garage.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like, I was joking with you. I was hiding behind the stanchion, and you know, luckily it hid me. And then you saw me.
That was the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can imagine how my attitude would have been without that.
Oh, without having me calm you down, hook you up,
it would have been really not good.
Get you everything you needed, a phone, or all the crap we had. You know, it worked out well because I knew what to expect, obviously, from me. But not that. Then my brother, I didn't want him to go through it, and he left from Allentown as well. But I went and picked him up, so we did a drive.
He actually got out. He got released the day I got there.
That's funny. Actually, I heard you went into his cell where the old Bernie was or something.
No, I was in another unit with Houlihan.
Oh, okay.
A bunch of Boston guys. That Bernie was in a different unit. Yeah. Good old man. I knew him when I was a kid.
Yeah, he was in the bank robbing crews, right?
Yeah. So
And
me
Boston
too.
was known for that. Boston
Hey,
was known.
his partner used to be. He was my sister's boyfriend, and they got one
He
time I
knew
got
Whitey,
pinched.
didn't he?
Yeah, everybody. We all know everybody there. And in one time I got pinched when I was a kid, and I got beat so bad by the cops and the guy who they said I robbed, right? And my sister came with Bernie's partner to bail me out. And all I heard my sister was say, "Oh my God, look at that poor man." And I was like, 'cause my head was so fucking swollen, it was all, discombobulated.
Yeah.
And she turned around. I said, "It's me. It's me." And she freaked out. Yeah.
Oh, because you were fucking beat up, swollen.
Oh, beat up. The
I'm
jail part
surprised,
wasn't.
boy, they didn't let you have to stay a day or two, until I've seen them that where they won't. I remember when they fucked me up one time, I was fucked up. They wouldn't let me have a visit. It
Yeah.
was, oh, he couldn't have a visit. Well, what the fuck for, motherfucker? It was just bullshit. And then they
Shit.
really wait
They
till you
really they beat me up so fucking bad, and the people was there, right? They said that guy who I was alleged to have robbed was the one that was doing most of the beating, right? And the judge looked at because he looked at my face. I went in after I was on bond, and they looked at my face, and he's like, "Oh my God, what the fuck happened to him?" And
he,
then they what do you call it? One of the cops went to say, he fell down the steps. He tripped.
and I remember, Paul, we didn't even say anything. You know what I mean? Like it was like,
No, it was
you,
just
you,
whatever.
you knew
You
you
know
were
what I
getting
mean?
another.
Par for the course.
You knew you were getting another beating, is what it was.
Oh, you would have got it more than a beating. You
You
know.
know, it's funny, Paulie. I was
I
talking to.
laughed when I seen Rodney King. I said, I look worse than him. I never fucking got a dime.
Oh yeah, no. Paulie, it's so funny. You said it, man. Your fella's face swells up. Your hand, everything you're trying to fight, and it's so funny because the more you think about it and you look at everything going on. I was talking to another guy the other day, and he was an ex-con. And it's like we just know each other, the lingo, how bad the system is. And what happens to me, Paulie, is talking to you or talking to somebody else, it triggers all those memories from the places and, way back that we go from it's easy to remember but then there were guys like from what happened with Jim Arch or what happened to the other guy in B House when he puked up, he had cancer, and he was puking up his blood in his cell. And what was that guy's name? And they let him bleed to death like an animal.
Yeah.
He was in B. And then you had, I remember when Bobby Yazdamian, my buddy, died. He was in C House, and he had went up to the thing, medical, died, heart attack. Just they don't give a fuck. They didn't give a shit. I
No,
remember.
do you know that right now Coleman doesn't have medical staff sufficient to cover everybody?
Oh,
I got a client there, and he had not one heart attack, he had two, right?
geez.
A week apart. And on the second one, they're taking him to they're in the ambulance, taking him to the hospital because there's no medical staff on duty at Coleman, right?
Jesus.
And this guy is fucking having a heart attack. He's going. They had to use the paddles on him because his vitals were dropping so much. If they didn't shock his heart back to going, he would have been dead on before he got to the hospital, right? Do you think that they would learn these type of lessons and have they build these multi-complex. How many people is Coleman hold?
Oh, that complex has got to be 10,000, boy. It's got the
So
two
you
beds.
have 10,000 individuals, and two of the there are two of the penitentiaries there, and
Right.
then the medium. Then you got a low for the women and a low for the men, and a camp, right?
Exactly.
And they don't have a doctor, dude.
I can't believe that. Not one of those places have a doctor, Paul.
Not one doctor was on duty
Because you know how that place
or
works.
free enough to get away to come to him with him having a heart attack. And he's in a camp.
Let
So
me
they
tell you how
just
that
called,
place works, Paulie. It
huh?
works. Let me tell you how it works because I've been there and I actually spoke at medium. I told you, didn't you even hear from somebody who was in the inside that said they
Oh,
heard that I
Carlos.
went
Yeah,
that I went
Carlos.
there?
He said Larry was there.
Yeah, I went back, but Paul, you know how surreal it was walking through the yard, not during a move. I got the warden, the captain, a bunch of two others, and we're walking wherever the fuck we want. And I'm sitting here saying, do they realize they do? Because the warden talked to me in the office, He says, Larry, he says, listen, I know all about you. He says, don't give anybody any. I was giving cards out, Paulie. I was giving pens. I ain't giving shit. You heard Hoochie call it. I Carlos or somebody.
Carlos Peg, the kid. I got him out of jail, and when he was in, he used to talk to me
Yeah,
all
and
the
he
time.
did. He said something. I said, "Hey, I remembered him." And I go, yeah. I said, "I'm gonna tell Tellini or somebody." I said, "Paulie, you just got out because this was about 2018. So I don't know what it was when you got 15, maybe. But anyway, it was. I'm sitting there and I'm talking now. The warden does his speech. I do a speech. And guys who know me are saying, that's fucking Lawton. He hated it. They were giving the background, And the unit manager and one of the guards that had to be with me, I didn't listen to them, Paulie, not even a little fucking bit. I'm outside the offices in between the two units. I'm giving my business cards out. I'm bullshitting, talking to everybody how the outside world's working. And they're like, holy shit, because they knew I was a stand-up guy, and they go, oh, how did he get back at this motherfucker? And
well, they need to actually have more people come back in there. Because
100%.
what it does is it gives them a lot of incentive. It helps them to start thinking about what they're going to be doing when they get home. You know what I mean? Even if that thought is off a little bit, it's still it's a great program to have with ex-offenders that have straightened out their lives, that are doing good, to go ahead back in and explain how everything works out on the street.
100%, Paul. The reason that has to happen is because, like you said, whether they go down a wrong path or not, most of us guys who did over a decade, you go into prison and you have to forget about the outside.
Oh yeah,
to survive, to live, to you got a new economy, you got new people, you got new rules, we adapt, but we become institutionalized. There's no way around it, and no matter who you are. And I often tell people, rehabilitation isn't only getting a job. It's about a mindset. You got to turn the mindset different from us guys because we're used to how to make money our way. And then we go to prison.
This is what I tell a lot of people that contact me. And I just say, listen, the biggest and most difficult thing that I did was I had to change my thinking. And once I changed my thinking, my whole life changed.
100%.
And it's like you grow up. You know what I mean?
We do age, obviously, Paul. Us guys, we age out of crime or whatever we do. But now I'm gonna switch topics for a second, Paulie. Just looking at what you see on the screen, I want you to hear what he says and give me your opinion. All right?
All right.
On all the roads, Mr. President. You're going to lose all the votes if you don't get in. But anyway, I'll be back out. And by the way, I've been all over the world with you. I've been in and out of battles. Anyway.
Paulie, what do we do?
I think they should all be charged with elderly abuse, bro, for real. I don't like Biden. I don't like him because of the policies that he made with the law that destroyed millions of families. All right. He was responsible for the crack laws. He was responsible for the laws his kid is fucking facing today. All right. And that's why I don't like him. It's not that I don't like him because he's a Democrat, because I grew up as a Democrat. And what happened with this administration is they're destroying that party.
Well,
That's my opinion. Now,
well,
what was he just saying? I have no
I'm gonna
idea
go.
what he's talking about. The man is out of his mind, and they should be, his handlers should be in jail for elderly abuse, bro. This dude has Alzheimer's disease or something. He's got some neurological injuries in that head of his. All right.
Well,
He's not the same man he was when he was a senator.
No, Paulie, here's another thing I look at and I say, forget being a Democrat, forget being a Republican, forget being anybody. I really feel bad for this guy. This guy,
I feel bad for him too.
It's not his fault. People who are putting him out there, whether it's his wife, his kids, or like you say, to put him out to look, this is a disgrace. And
listen,
I feel bad for him.
Did you see the speech that Joe Biden gave after he had the debate? She was talking to him like he was 5 years old. And Joey, you answered all the questions. And she was so fun. I said, what are you fucking doing? This is the most powerful man in the world. And you're talking to him like he's 5 years old and bullshitting him and the rest of us who watched that debate. Are you really, do you think we're that fucking stupid?
Oh, that is so funny.
And I'm like, I really do feel bad for him. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And I could beat his son's case in about an hour. All right. But I'm serious. I could. And I feel bad because he is getting abused and he's being made a scapegoat for a lot of shit that's taking place in the world. And they're going to blame him.
Yeah.
When after this election's over, he loses, he goes away, he's in a hospital or whatever, they're going to blame all the shit that they pulled under his administration on him.
Paulie, I really have to almost say you're right. And I say this on I only say this, Paulie, because what I'm seeing personally is a disgrace. And that's why I'm
This is Larry Lawton, and he's an ex-jewel thief.
This was in, I forget where it was. I'm going to put this one up.
That's in Edgefield.
Was that Edgefield?
Yeah, that was that kid next to you, Patrick. Good kid.
Oh, yeah. One was like Aryan Brotherhood or Aryan Church.
Yeah,
this kid was dirty
left.
white boy. Yeah. He was a dirty white boy. And then who knows what the hell the others are. But, I just look at that and I said, what are these people, crazy? I mean, I'm going to show this one.
We're going to East Tremont Avenue. East Tremont is a very well-known street in the Bronx, and it's the major avenue. It goes from one end of East Tremont.
Oh, you know where this is?
In the Bronx.
Where I grew up. Listen to this.
Yeah.
All the way. You could take East Tremont all the way to West Farms. We used to get blowjobs for $5, young kids. But we used to come right up here, and we used to catch the bus, the city bus, right here.
What's that, huh?
This is the that used to be a grocery store, and what we used to do, and I'll show you. We're gonna take a walk. We had guys who worked in here, and when they worked in here, they would take the lobsters and the steaks and the big money stuff, and they would take that and they would put it out in the garbage in the back near the dumpster. I'm gonna show you, and we'd pick it up later at night, and we'd sell it up and down East Tremont Avenue, making money. All we did was fucking kids who made money. We were coming up with everything to make money. That's what we did. Now, this whole area, this was a major store. I mean, it was the biggest grocery store from here all the way down. So everybody in Locust Point and Fort Schuyler, everybody used this grocery store. We got jobs here, and then we rob it. And this is right here. And it wasn't a gate here. And they used to have a dumpster in the back over there. And we used to fucking come at night, pick up the shit, because they were working at night. They were stocking it and stuff. Well, they take out the trash, and they would put the fucking steaks and lobsters and everything you want in there.
Now, see, that was what you call being a creative criminal.
So,
What, Paulie?
I said that was what you called being a creative criminal. We did the same thing.
Yeah, we look at, and it's funny, Paulie, because it was always something to make something, to do something, or, we didn't just harass old people. We didn't we didn't do that kind of stuff. It wasn't our thing.
I mean, the old people they would love that we were on that corner, because they could go to the store and come back, and we'd help them with this shit, and nobody would rob them.
No, you wouldn't rob the old people in the neighborhood.
No, you didn't rob your own neighborhood. You didn't go and do shit like that. And
No,
people that came into it and tried to do it ended up in bigger problems.
Absolutely. In fact, a lot of those older people, somebody's grandmother or great aunt, and all of a sudden, we carry their packages, and to the car or whatever. Most of them, some take the bus, because the public transportation in New York is so good. I mean, it was like, we didn't have school buses. There was no school yellow bus. There was none of that shit in New York. We took the fucking trains.
Well, that's because you got a fucking school on every block, like a liquor store.
Paul, we had 5,000 kids that went to my school.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about a big school. But Lehman High School, people, you can look it up. I'm on their website. Me, Cardi B, a couple other people on their website. But so on all these, okay, Paulie, so what do you think they got? What do you think they're going to run Joe Biden?
No.
Because
I have no idea. I have no idea who they're going to try to run. Maybe Michelle or Michael Obama, or maybe
Michael Obama.
Maybe
no. I'll tell you who I think. I think they're going to go to Gretchen Whitmer from the governor of Michigan. She's a woman, smart. Gavin Newsom, he did what he fucked California up so bad.
Oh, he destroyed California. You're kidding me?
Kamala Harris, we're not ready for her. She's terrible.
Well,
so the only thing I can see is somebody like that. I would love to see them take a Republican.
Well, they might put Hillary Clinton back up there.
Oh, Jesus, no, please.
Yeah.
You know what they should get up there, Paulie? They should get that Republican governor from Ohio. What was his name? Kasich or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he was good. He was very moderate.
Well, if they voted and everybody else voted for what is better for the country, right? And put the country before, like it used to be under the Democrats, where Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. If they had that mindset, then there would be no stopping them, because they would truly be helping the people.
But neither party has that, Paulie. Neither party has that.
No, they don't.
Neither
and I think both of them are lacking in that. You have to put the country first and put all your nonsense aside. You know what I mean? You can't help the people that are starving in your own country, yet you want to send hundreds of billions of dollars around the world to help other people that are starving.
I agree.
Right? And that just don't make no sense to me.
And then you got this, Paulie. Do you remember when we had Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill?
Yeah.
He was from
I knew Tip O'Neill very well.
Matter of fact, he was a Democrat Speaker of the House from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And him and Reagan would go have a beer. And
Yeah.
they would sit down and literally get this bullshit out of the way and get things done.
Sure, but they don't want to do that today. They want to be really extremist, you know, and that doesn't do anything but cause division, because you have those who will stand up and be the beacon, right? For whoever will listen to them. And when you really look at, you have to, if in my opinion, for when you're looking at a politician, you have to look at words and actions, because they give us all the words and the they can think of for any. If 7 different people are in the line and have 7 different positions on the same subject, they will agree to support the position of the person they're talking to. You follow me?
But what does it have to do with anything?
Well, what it has to do with anything is you have to put your country first.
Paulie, I wouldn't even care if they'd be logical and put themselves first. At least I know where they're at.
Well,
They won't even talk to each
that's
other,
another
Paulie.
topic. But I think that if you have to look at a politician's like a used car salesman, not even, you can't even put them with the used car salesman, because in my opinion they're beneath that, right? But I think that whatever they have to say to sell you on what you think should be going on, they will say it. And then when they get in office, they don't do what they said, so they lied to you. You follow me?
Every politician in the world lies to somebody.
Well, they do, but it's the people's fault when they know they're being lied to and they don't do nothing, right?
I agree. I told people this, Paulie. Here's how it could work. If you got enough people together, you go, here's your problem with Washington and the Congress and laws and everything. Let's say you and I got every young person under 30 through YouTube, through Mr. Beast, through whatever, and we can get them to vote. They could run this fucking country, obviously, if we got all those people. They could go in, let's just narrow that down to an area like Boston or Florida or wherever. We take a politician here and we say to him, hey, listen, we're going to help you get elected and we can get you elected. We don't want to, here's what we want you to do. We don't like everything you do. Nobody's going to like everything but we want you to put in a bill your first time in Congress, or let's just say legalizing marijuana, right?
Mhm.
Now, Paul, here's what happens. They get in there and they say, oh, it's not the right time. The speaker's not going to let, no, we don't want to hear you're our representative. You can put a bill in, put it in. I don't care what the speaker says, because if you don't put that bill in, you will be voted out. It's only 2 years. They get flipped 2 years.
Yeah.
You will be out. He doesn't do it. He thinks he can win. Knock him out. Next one was him. See what we did to him? Here's why, Paulie. If he puts the bill in, then we're at least going to know personally who supports what. You know, if you got to vote for it. So if you don't want to vote for it, okay, why didn't you vote for it? Now we know your true feelings. Don't listen to the Speaker of the House. Don't listen to the leader of the Senate. Both parties. They're not their own people. They're listening to their leaders who don't put it up for, and that's bullshit. You are a congressman. You can put a freaking law in anytime you want. You can do that. Same as a senator. Start being a little bit more ballsy. You're not worried about your next position as the sergeant at arms.
Well, that's unfortunate, but they don't worry about that. They got a sweetheart job they go to, and they do whatever the highest bidder, I guess, wants them to do. So if you don't have enough backing, like if you think about it, right? How many people are in prison? 2 million? Huh?
2 million. Let's call it 2 million.
All right, 2 million. 2 million people for a voting block is huge, right?
Watch this, Paulie. Wait a minute. I'll do one better. They did a study. Every prisoner is worth 4 votes.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Larry Lawton has mom, dad, brothers, sisters, big family. If I'm getting abused, things aren't right, they're not going to vote with anything that I would, because I affect maybe 20 votes, you know, friends, this, you too, brother's wife, this. Now, then we have people, illegal aliens or whoever, have nobody over here. So that, but they equate that. So out of the 2 million, that's 8 million votes, Paulie.
Oh,
You know,
easy.
I don't know which way they're going to go, but that's 8 million votes.
Well, they could go either way because, you know, the thing that makes me laugh about the thinking of the Democrats, that all these people that are running from South and Central America to the United States, right? Just these 2 countries, they think that they're going to vote Democratic because they're there. They just ran from a socialist country. They're not going to vote
No,
for
they
a
want
socialist people, and they know socialism better than anybody
I
because
told
they
that,
lived it.
Paulie, I told that to a few politicians in this room, which I'll have a few more about that. What you just said right there, that hey, you know, wait a minute, let's stop this for a second. Let's look at this in a deeper way. I'm gonna have the guy who's running for Senate. His name's Mike Caradopoulos. So I'm gonna call him up, have him come on in for a show. He's running for the Senate for the Florida. I think, yeah, he's running for Congress. He's running for the Bill Posey seat, so he'll be our congressman. He used to be the Florida Senate president and all that. I know him. He's, you know, where he's at, and he's a friend and all that. Anyway, what I was getting at is politicians, whatever side we're talking about, I think what people want to hear, whether it's illegal immigrants or people, just the people who are incarcerated, the people who have people. You don't hear politicians saying, I want to be tough on crime. You don't hear that because we have so many of us now, we do affect the vote. They might be saying we don't want crime, we want to clean up the streets, but they're not saying build prisons. You remember back in the friggin' 80s, Paulie? It was a boom. I mean, it was crazy.
Sure.
So I think that's going away, but I still think it takes so much because we are the unheard. Meaning, prisoners are still the people without a voice. You know, really a big voice.
Well,
Donald
anybody
Trump
that's been
gave us a lot of party.
anybody that's been convicted by this twisted system that we call a justice system, anybody, they can't vote. You know, in federal elections, they can't vote, so they don't have a voice. And there's like 37 million people that have gone through the system since 1990, I think. Wow. It's a huge number. Now, that's a voting block too, because you can't vote because they took away your rights.
And I don't think I should pay taxes because it's taxation without representation.
That would fall under that without a doubt.
Now, you and I see now our fair share of lunatics. You remember what were they used to call them in prison? The guys that didn't think you had to listen to the law and
the Freemen, but they weren't really.
You remember the Freemen?
I know them very well.
What they used to say.
These people that are doing that, a lot of people now that are doing that system, because they still do it, and the ones that are doing it, they're just twisting it and taking people's money. It's like a con. You know what I mean? When Leroy did it, he actually did it because I write my motions with a lot of stuff that I learned from him about the law, period. Right?
Really?
And it's just words, different words, but it works, you know, and it helps you. But these people that are doing that shit now, they're trying to do liens. They think they can.
Yeah, but what do they call that? I know the Freemen, but they call it solvent,
solving citizens.
No, it's not. It's something like that, but it's
solving citizens. They're sovereign.
Sovereign citizens, sovereign, not solvent, sovereign, right?
Sovereign.
Right. Soverign. Sovereign. Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love when I hear those guys. You
Well,
know,
if you think about it, they might have a lot of stuff that they believe could actually be factual, you know. And why should you pay income taxes and then pay taxes on the food you buy and then pay taxes on the money you earn? And I mean, everything we get taxed to death. And it's not like the money that we have, the currency is backed by gold or silver. It's not backed by shit. It's backed by your birth certificate and how much money they think you're going to earn in your lifetime to pay taxes.
right.
But
That's true.
why are we paying taxes to the Federal Reserve? They're not a federal agency. That's a private banking thing. So a lot of their stuff is factual. You know what I mean? A lot of the things that they believe. Do I believe that you can go ahead and what did they say you do? You can just drive around without a license and without any kind of identification on a car with no plates? Hell no, I don't think you can do that. I think you're going to get stopped for one because you're inviting it. You don't have no license plate on your car. And number two, when you try telling this cop you ain't rolling down that window because you're a sovereign citizen and you don't have to answer none of their questions, I think he's going to break the window and you're going to jail. You know what I mean? That's what I think. You know what I mean? Because that's what
I'm
I
not gonna mention the
see.
guys' names who did it.
Paulie, it's so funny. I remember when we used to see him in a law library or see him. I've never seen one of them win ever. Never win. And I used to say to them, they go, listen, and they'd get everybody going. I'd go, just one thing. USA, 300 million, right back then, 300 million people. You won. Who the fuck are you going to beat?
That really, they used to kill me because they would say, they can't do that to me. And
Yeah.
remember, we used to tell them, where we having this conversation, you moron? Are we having this conversation? Where are you? I'm in
Yeah.
federal prison. I know where I am. Where are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they can't do it to me. These people kill presidents, buddy. They are the mafia of the world. And if you think they're not, you've got a big thing coming that you're going to realize it soon. That they are not a joke. These people don't fuck around.
Hey, Paul, it's so funny what you say. I said, everybody's all up in arms about this Simon Rushdie that the Saudis killed. How many you think the United States whacked along the way to Grenada, to this, to this? Are you kidding me?
They're right up there with the Catholic Church, bro.
Oh, yeah. So I love when people sit up in front of us and used to say, they can't do that to me. They can't do that to me. I love that guy. Then you read his case, and he's a dead wrong anyway. I mean, there's not a freaking thing.
I remember Stephen when I called him in Boston, right? When I got pinched, my lawyer, because we beat a lot of cases in Boston, right? And I called him up. I said, Stephen, I got pinched. I'm in Miami. He said, what? Tell me what's going on. So I explained the case to him, right? He said, well, if no one's going to testify against you, why would you want to bring me down there? You're bringing a top gun down to Florida, not my district, not my area, and you're going to try to say, oh, you were just sunbathing on a dock. He said, don't work, Pauli. It doesn't work. I said, okay, forget it.
So what did he say? Why would it?
Because they're going to look at me, the person that's supposed to not have nothing to do with nothing, right? And they're going to look, why do I have one of the top 10 lawyers out of Boston coming to Florida? You know what I mean? Where am I affording that if I'm not doing nothing illegal?
Who did we have back then, Paulie? I remember. Who was the big gun down here in Miami? I forget now.
Oh, Janet Reno?
No, she was the lawyer. But you remember the guy who was always getting people out, big lawyer? Cost a
they
fortune.
had Bruce Cutler. They had a bunch. And he
Bruce,
was from New York. He was down in Miami.
yeah.
He was
Then
all over
Jose
Bruce.
Baez, after he won the case,
Yeah.
he did his. But who is? Who's
Hey,
a big,
Tony.
Roy Black.
Roy Black, he's dead.
Yeah, well, I know. I said that was the one back then. You remember?
Yeah. I just had one of his clients contact me
Oh yeah, you'll beat him. I beat a Bruce Cutler
to
kid.
do some stuff for him. And they Roy died.
Roy, yeah. Well, listen, he had to be 85 years old too, Paul. You know?
Oh, he was good.
I didn't say that. Just like, is F. Lee Bailey alive?
Yeah. No, he shouldn't have been alive anyway.
He's another
Fucking, he
one who,
drank like a fish.
listen, who did?
That's how I met a lot of politicians in Boston.
Wow.
Through them.
Oh, those lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, listen, the whole system's so rigged. Who becomes lawmakers? Lawyers. Who are they going to protect when they make laws?
Well,
Lawyers.
now they do. Before they didn't do that. You know, it was really more of a neighborhood thing. You know what I mean? Like you really knew who the senator or congressman was from your area. Today they don't know. These kids don't know who them people are.
Paulie, we used to buy them too. We used to donate to them.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Listen, I'm not mad at them for doing what they're doing and taking care of those that supported them to get into a position. I think they should do that. You know, because I know that with the Boston politics, right? They're like New York politics. You could walk into the thing and they did it like to Tip O'Neill. If you knew him, right, you go to his office and the door was open. You know what I mean? And you could go in and say, hey, listen, I know a woman that went there because her sons couldn't get work. And she, told him, listen, I need you to help me with this because my kids can't get into no union. They can't get work. And he did. He helped them. You know what I mean? But that's how politicians were because they were from wards in the states, you know what I mean, in the cities.
Paulie, absolutely. You had a borough president or New York, or like you said, one of the councilmen. You go to them, they will get you a job, man, and they know how to do that shit.
They don't have no qualms about it making a phone call.
Listen, I have no problem
and they're supposed to do that because they're supposed to be helping their constituents, right? And actually, I told guys that are coming out to do exactly that. I said, before you get home, write to your senator or congressman and tell them, look, I'm getting out on such and such a date. I have no work. I need a job. I need you to help me get it. And they'll have one of their aides contact you and help you get some work.
Absolutely. Paulie, listen to me. That's so true. I can honestly say I've had corrupted my share of politicians. And as I always say, even though I did what I did, I never used any of this power for bad for the city, if that makes sense. I didn't destroy the city. I didn't bankrupt the city. I did good things. The city grew. Yes, did a few friends make money and, stuff like that. Did we know information? Yes. But we never did it. I even used to say to politicians, listen, we're going to get you in. I get it. I want a little to always do good for the city. It will always be good for the city. I'm not going to make it bad.
No, they need to, but they don't do that anymore. What they do is you get the ones that are, I can't say they don't always do it because I'm not in that circle. But I think today, from my perspective, is they're too busy making side deals for themselves to get themselves ahead in life or whatever. And they're getting paid either before, during, or after they're in office. And I think that's the reason why a lot of shit has gone wrong in the communities is because these politicians are looking out for themselves and big corporations and not the people that put them there.
Well, listen, you could look out for corporation and the people,
You
obviously.
could do both.
Sure.
Obviously, listen, you bring the corporation in your neighborhood and you just created 10,000 jobs, right?
And you tell me has to hire from here, right? Exactly.
Exactly. Well, they're in the neighborhood, so you have to hire from the neighborhood, so
Yeah.
you would do it. But the way that the shit is done now, like, look at the infrastructure of the cities. My God, everything's falling apart. Where'd all that money go? You know what I mean? Where'd all that money go for the schools? Where all
Well,
that
I don't
money
know,
go?
Paulie. I just got back from New York, and I was very impressed with New York, to be honest. It's coming back, the restaurants, the stuff, public transportation, everything's really hopping. They complain. You hear bullshit on news about crime. You and I understand crime better than anybody. But I was pretty impressed. You know what I mean? With the action, the people, what's going on there. Again,
Well,
I
you
don't.
can appreciate it's like they say, you can't see the forest through the trees, right? You have to step back. And now you're not there, so you can step back. And when you do visit, you can really notice the difference,
Yeah.
whether
Oh,
it's
yeah.
good or bad, you know what I mean? Or whether it's
100%.
everything is still the same,
I can, and it's fun
Yeah.
to do. I was very impressed. I'm thinking of moving. I'm thinking a lot of things. Or not even moving, staying here, but maybe going there for 6 months. Something like that, or 3 months.
Nah, bro. New York. You want to go live in New York for
No, I
6
meant
months?
like Paulie. How
You
about
might as well come to Columbia.
Paulie? How about 2 months there, 2 months there? You know what I mean? 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, one. Something like that.
Yeah, but even still, you're gonna do that staying in the States. You already know New York. You already know Florida. You got to learn and spread your wings. You have to come to Columbia, and then you can learn and do what you can do the same thing that we're doing right now from anywhere in the world. It don't matter if you're in a fucking yacht off the coast or off the lighthouse of Bimini. You can be in the middle of the ocean, and you still can do what you're doing. That's what's great about this technology. I love
technology is great, but yeah, you could, I guess.
Listen, I just finished this week. I finished 2 cases in Puerto Rico, 1 in Wisconsin, and 1 in West Washington State. Right? That I couldn't do that like that before. This technology is unbelievable. I love this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still like a little kid in a candy store.
Oh, Paulie, it's getting better and better. I mean,
all the
obviously.
time.
I mean,
And that's I love it. I think that this is great. Some of the stuff that I see, that they push they push the line a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Like when I go to the grocery store, I won't go to a cashier where you just check your stuff out. I won't do that. And the reason why I don't do it is because I like the human contact and communication with my cashier. You know what I mean? I like to sit there and bullshit with them. And I can't bullshit with the scanner, and in Publix or something. I can't, you
yeah.
gotta.
What do you do when they have nothing open but those?
Well, I don't think they're not going to ever have anything open besides them because they need people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
people
still
that are
need.
running the machines, but I know what you
Well,
mean.
you still need people.
Here.
Here's a shocker for them. How about this here? Because, corruption is not a very bad thing at times, right? And it depends. But what if I go to Walmart, right? And they have monitors there, that people that monitor what you're buying, right? So instead of paying, $400 for my grocery bill, I swoop through shit without scanning it, and it looks like I scanned it, but I'm not. And the girl's watching me, and I'm giving her $50, so she ain't saying shit.
So what are you saying?
I think that's a good thing. Walmart's going to be out of business now.
Paul, if you don't think they know all of that, they'll even know that you didn't pay for certain items.
Of course they do. It's all over the news. I read cases on it all the time.
And then you try to fight it, and they show a video of you not paying it and the date and everything, and put you there, and you look stupid because you just robbed.
But they do it all the time, and they bust these people. They even busted them in Home Depot, right? Doing
Home Depot.
Home Depot. They were buying like machines, right? That cost $4,000 or $5,000, and they put a $50 sticker on it, and they were scanning it and going through, and they weren't paying for the product the way that it was doing. They were switching out tags.
Yeah.
It was just all on the news, So technology that they have today is really advanced. You can walk down the street in Tampa, Florida, and it will read your face and tell you who you are.
Oh, it's crazy, Paul.
Yeah. That type of technology, it's a two-edged sword. You know what I mean? We're not doing nothing illegal. So I won't even turn off my tracker. I want them to know exactly where I am. Because they're not going to be blaming me for shit. And sometimes I think that I can still get under their skin. You know what I mean? Because of the work that I do. So
I'm sure you can.
And and then I'm like, you destroy their reputation. You win a case that you overturn a case that they won. They get fucking mad at that shit. But I don't care. I'm doing what I do because that's the only thing I do know really good. Other than illegal shit. And who wants to go back there? I'm not going back there.
Oh, listen, but Paul, they lose all that. They do that's part of their business plan, actually.
Well, sure, they have a theft prediction that they write every month. It's like, how much do you think is going to be lost during the holidays? Certain holidays, you know what I mean? They'll have. And they'll say, like Christmas, they got to lose a ton of money during Christmas, but they don't do, they write it off because I think what they do is they say, okay, we know we're going to lose $100 million in this period of time.
Right.
And I think what they do is they include that in the prices that the public pays. So it shoots the price up. You know what I mean? So they ain't losing nothing because whatever they're making is absorbed from their prediction. You know what I mean? They predict they're going to lose this much. They can predict they're going to make this much. And they're pretty accurate at what they do.
Oh, I believe that.
Do you know I bought a bottle of, it was some kind of like an aspirins. And I bought this bottle, and inside the box, it had a little plastic tracker that if the girl doesn't swipe it, it will beep when you go out the door.
Okay, sure.
But I didn't know that they literally can follow you home from that purchase.
Oh yeah, sure.
I didn't know none of that.
And it's still on them. Yeah.
Yeah. I just learned that. I was like, wow. They said, oh, yeah. Then they do more. They can go from what you buy, where you go. You know what I mean?
Isn't that illegal, though, Pauli?
Huh?
Isn't that illegal to track you?
I would think it's illegal because it's almost like back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, they used to have subliminal messaging, right? So when you went into a joint that was like all you could eat, you know, for $9.95 back then, all you can eat,
Yeah.
and blah 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 blah, right? Well, the music that they played in there was like, wow, this is really good. I'm getting so full. You know what I mean? So you might go one time back to get more, but you ain't going back more than that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That is true. I mean, they do that in the chocolate factories in New York,
Yeah.
and you know they smell like, man. I go in there and I want to buy something. You know, I want to eat something.
Well, yeah, I do it
They,
here.
listen,
I
they
walk
do it
down
in
the street. You
supermarkets.
you
Paulie.
can smell the food, right? And it's like, wow, come on, let's go in here and get some of this. Because there's all kinds of bakeries and all kinds of factories, like chocolate factories and coffee houses. And you can smell all that stuff in the street, you know, and I'm like, wow, let's go get some of this. Yeah.
Oh, I do it all the time, and I'm so bad. Pizza. I can't walk by a pizzeria. It's
No.
you know that, and that's those things. I mean, but now at least in Florida, you know, I can. So, Paulie,
Well,
Arnold,
because you need a car to get anywhere, bro. All you got to do is take the car away. You lose weight.
one more thing, buddy. One more thing. One more thing. Uh, when do you think Trump is Biden's going to drop out? And do you think Trump will lose against somebody else other than Biden?
No. I think that because of the prices that are being paid for gas, for electricity, for utilities, and for groceries, right? That everybody is not happy. It doesn't matter
True.
what party you're from. You know, when you're grocery, you go to a grocery store and come home with one bag, and it costs you, you know, $30, and now you come home with no, you know, with a couple of bags, but it costs you hundreds of dollars.
Oh,
I couldn't believe the prices of the food. I mean, it's increased here too. The inflation is here too, but
holy, but
it's not
it's
like there.
crazy here. I went to the store and spent $700. I don't know what the fuck on, and it's unbelievable. You go to the store and you're getting eggs for $4, and my mother gets this stupid bread for $6. A crazy number.
Listen, it's ridiculous. My brother was telling me that a dozen or 30 eggs cost like, what did he say? They cost $8.50 or something, and they used to be $4 for 30.
Paul,
You know,
eggs used to be at 99 cents, $1.29. A regular dozen eggs used to be $1.
yeah,
Now it's $4.
unbelievable. And that's
Crazy.
what people, they can feel that. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
It's like the biggest joke in the world is that they offer these kids, you know, extraordinarily large minimum wages, right, for their first jobs. You know what I mean? Like they want to give them 15 to $25 an hour to throw a burger out the window. You know what I mean? Are you serious? How much is the burger? You used to be able to take a family to Fourth to McDonald's for $10. You can't do that now because it costs you $10 for a fucking one of them Big Macs. You know what I mean? Not that I eat any of that, and I don't eat it I'm just trying to be healthy, you know. But
Even Paul,
everything
you
in the
can't
economy
even
is
go to a
crazy.
McDonald's here without
Huh?
being. You can't go to a McDonald's here without it getting crazy. I mean, you get two people in McDonald's, it's going to cost you $30.
Yeah, me and my brother went
That's
to.
crazy.
They have this place in Sarasota. It's called Kelly's, right? But it's the same Kelly's as in Boston, which was a famous joint, right? A burger joint. And he said, I mean, roast beef. So we went to he said, let's go get some Kelly's roast beef. I said, you Boston? He said, no, they got one here in Sarasota. Let's go, right? We went there. It cost us $45 a piece to get a sandwich that we used to pay $2.50 for, and it was this thick with roast beef, right? Unbelievable. That the roast beef was still unbelievable, but that same sandwich is now $45.
You know, I was just looking at a show. you know, Katz Deli in New York, where they had the scene with Meg Ryan and the orgasm, and have the famous pastrami sandwich, you know, down on Houston Street in New York. And I got so hungry looking at that stuff. But you know the way those old places in New
Well,
York
you wanna go to them old Jewish family delis and get a
Yeah.
nice, you know what I mean, pastrami on rye. Come on.
And you know they're running everything anyway, so you want to get to the right one. They got the good meat, you
Yeah.
know. So, but it's known for, you know, unbelievable. It does 4,000 customers a day, Paul.
Are you kidding me?
No, they just showed it.
Unreal.
Unreal. I mean, and we were just watching some stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, man, you and I gotta go. You know, that makes me like, I mean, I was down a Little Italy and Ferraris and all that. You know, Il Catillo's my old spot. It's even that's not. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I loved it, but you know, I guess I just don't care. You know, I'd rather have pizza and go onto the station, the subway with a fuck. You know, I mean, it just.
Well,
I don't know.
listen, those food joints down in the subway systems used to be real good too.
Yeah, you remember those hot dog stands and stuff?
Yeah,
You get the pretzels and the hot dogs.
yeah.
At 2 in the
We had
morning.
a famous Joe and Emo's hot dogs, right? And my brother-in-law owned it, and they were foot-long hot dogs. This hot dog, you would go there at 3 o'clock in the morning in the winter, and there'd be a line of 20 fucking people in front of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when you know your food was good.
No, I love those places. Those old. See, in New York, they have those Sabrett hot dogs, and
Yeah.
you know they're the ones you put them on. And you get the works, you know, mustard, onions, and the cooked onions and the sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And you know, give me 3 of the works, and you know, a Coke, and a pretzel. Oh my God! Back then, it was $1 a hot dog, maybe.
Yeah. You ain't
Now,
paying $1 a hot dog today.
now they're $3, $4, $5. I don't even know what they are, Pauli.
Shit.
And but we used to call them dirty water hot dogs.
Yeah.
Dirty water hot dogs.
They
Man.
used to boil them in beer.
You know, Bobby, who listens to the show, he'll remember. He's a New Yorker, and you know, getting those hot dogs.
Hey, did you see the thing where what's that guy's name? He was the hot dog champion. Joey something. They wouldn't let him compete. Did you watch that? Your camera froze, bro. I don't know, Larry. I think we're gonna have to get rid of Nick. He's not being a very, very good technician. He's not catching this stuff as it's happening. We're gonna have to either beat him or get someone else to replace him. This ain't working. I'm only kidding, Nick. Don't get in your feelings. Just fix the camera. So, ladies and gentlemen, what would you like to discuss? We should have done a live call-in show, and we can answer your questions. Maybe we can do that in one of the next times. I think what you should do is hit Larry up with, like, we want to have a call-in session where guys can ask questions about whatever it is you want to talk about, law, life, you know, why you shouldn't be doing crime, whatever. And we can work it from there. But right now, I do believe that Larry is lost. His camera's gone. But we'll carry on. What else can we talk about? I don't know. I don't know if this is playing or not. All right, everybody, what you've got to do is start hitting Larry up and Nick up and asking them what's going on with the camera. Let them know that it's broken and it's not operating, because they're not really, maybe they're not aware of it. I seen a little bit of smoke coming up behind my fat little friend Larry. So, he might be lost a little bit tonight. We have to see. And if you want to get back to the Young Thug trial in Atlanta, I really would think that you would benefit from watching it, because this gives you an insight into what's going on with the system, and the difference between an attorney who will walk you into that courtroom and allow you to get slaughtered in one that won't. And I think in Young Thug's case that he has the latter of the two. I think he has a true warrior, someone who is like very, very fear in their application of the law, and they're fighting for your freedom. They're fighting for the innocence, your innocence, because the evidence in this case is truly amazing. It's amazing. You have guys that have admitted, the star witness in that case has admitted that he will lie to get his way for anything. And he's been doing it all his life, and he's been getting away with it. And these are the type of witnesses the government has now that are put out there into the communities to suck these people in to the trap. And I think that they do an injustice to the community when they do that. There's enough criminals out there doing things for you to go and catch them doing them. You don't need to have somebody who's really not involved in the game to be set up by the police. The police, they attack, they come after you. They choose who they're going to come after, and for whatever reason they're gonna. And I'll give you an example. I'm working on a case now with the guy who owned an aviation business. And in that aviation business, they targeted him to somebody said something. They checked his flight logs and they seen he was coming in and out of the country too frequently. And he didn't have enough or he was coming out of hot areas like Houston, Texas, or California, or Colombia, or Mexico. And what they did was they started following him, and because of them logs, because you have to keep a record of all that stuff. And they started following him, and then they wanted to know, because of his client list, they wanted to know more information about his clients, and he wasn't having that. He wasn't telling them, I don't know what he's talking about. They pay me to fly me from A to B, and I do that. And that's all that matters. You know what I mean? They're buying my service to do this. I'm not doing nothing illegal, and they're not doing nothing illegal as far as I know. Well, they didn't want to accept that for an answer, so they put pressure on the guy. And it turns out they lied at a grand jury. They lied in an indictment. They lied to the district court, and there was never a crime. And they turn around and they got. It's just the case is really. It's not as shocking because I do this every day, so I see what it is that they're doing. And to a regular, normal person who doesn't know about the system or doesn't have any interaction with it, they wouldn't even believe the stories. So it's really, terrible when you see the lengths that they'll go to in order to get people to commit a crime. And I don't know why they need to do that, because there certainly is a lot of criminals out there in the world, and you don't need to set people up who really aren't predisposed to do that. you know. And that's what I have to say about that. So if you have been the victim of any of that type of activity, then you know. And if you haven't been a victim, now you know what to be aware of. And you need to learn that all is not what it appears to be. You know, and with that, I'm going to have to say goodnight and sign out of here because I don't want to continue this video without my sidekick. All right? So you guys make good choices, be safe, and we'll talk to you on the next round. Enjoy your evening.